listen?
No.
Oh, well, then scratch it then. If I'm the only person that watched it, read it.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
Number 10?
I'm biding time because every time we go live, it doesn't seem to start recording for like 30 seconds. So I'm just going to dance a little bit. What's up to all our sidekicks and henchmen out there in the Geek Nation? I'm Johnny Destructo, and with me this week is Brian Lieb.
Hi.
And Noel.
Hi.
I'm going to get the microphone out of here.
I don't know. I think it looks nice.
Make sure it's placed correctly. There we go.
It's intimate.
Yeah.
Like. What would you do to that microphone?
Sometimes my mic gets mad at me and it just fucking punches me. You're here and you're listening to the Spoiler Alert podcast. You're also watching it, maybe. We're live streaming on the YouTube and the Facebook. And Melly G already chiming in saying, "Hey, gents."
Hey,
so,
what's up?
This show's for her.
You think you're kidding. Melly G texted me earlier and said, "What time does Spoiler Alert go live again?" And I said, "Well, I'll tell you, 11 o'clock. Melly G set her alarm for 5 p.m. because where she is, it's 5 p.m. So that she could participate and listen. And that tickles my cockles, I got to tell you.
Well,
I just heard Sushan in the other room laughing at tickles my cockles.
Correct me if I'm wrong, too. Isn't Melly G who suggested our main review today?
It is.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melly G. Melissa Gums for last week. She said, "Yo, idiots, why don't you guys talk about Rat Queens?" And I was like, "Okay, we'll do that."
I thought it was offensive.
I was going to say after you were just like, "Oh, that's aggressive." Yeah, but cool.
She says, "How about the hench?" Oh, you're right. What's up to all our sidekicks and hench people? Because I said henchmen and not, and she said, "What about the hench women?"
It's true.
Hench folk.
The hench folk. I like that.
Tickle, tickle, she says. Oh, my cockles. So I don't know if I mentioned this because we're off the rails. You're listening and watching the Spoiler Alert podcast, the weekly comic book discussion show. Today, we're going to be talking about, at Melly G's request. Are those the same thing?
Request. I mean, they can fulfill the same function, but
yeah, a behest is like she was just like you saved her from this burden, or she begged and you relinquished.
Or I think if she's in charge of you, right? Like if she's your boss, it would be at her hand, or like you're.
Oh, that's true.
But that's like a force, like a
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we are here for the listeners, so.
So yes, at her behest. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if anybody makes a request, I'm gonna do it.
If you want to sound like we have any autonomy whatsoever, then it's by request.
Okay.
But if not, then yeah, whatever.
So she wanted us to talk about Rat Queens. We're going to talk about Rat Queens, but some good news is that the comics have started a-flowing, my friends. So there's a couple on the docket that we're going to discuss that came out on Tuesday/Wednesday. Because fucking DC.
Oh, wait, hang on.
Pardon my language.
Some of the comics came out on just random days because we are going to talk about digital stuff.
That's true too.
We're going to I think we're going to mention maybe or do a thunder round of Swamp Thing number 4. Number 5 dropped today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to look up like the description. Number 5 dropped today. So the digital first books are just coming out whenever the hell they want, like twice a week.
Yeah. Huh. But was that always the deal with them?
No.
Wasn't it? Did they have they didn't have like a staggered release schedule back in the? I haven't read the digital first comic in a long time. I'm trying to remember.
And also too, it's a misnomer that they're digital first because more than half of them have been released in print on those giants and those like Walmart giants and so it's just like new to us.
Yeah.
That's why they look like real comics.
This is normally the portion of the show where I go, we got letters, but we ain't got no letters.
We have 0 letters?
0 letters. Although
there are no letters.
I've said this before, and it turns out Christopher St. Saucy had emailed us, and I just missed the letter. So if you send us a letter and I don't have it, please resend it. All right, let's get started. Noel, you did the notes, so we're going to go off of what you wrote, which is we're going to start with Deceased Unkillables number 3. Diamond has this to say about it. It's the epic finale of the next chapter in the DC saga, as heroes and villains collide with one epic purpose: to escape the coming of the infected population of Gotham City and a monstrous Wonder Woman. It's time to ride the Fury Road one final time, ... to survival. Written by Tom Taylor with art by Carl Mostert.
I heard that
to
survival. I heard it as like to completion. But
yeah.
Yes. I don't know if that was their intent, or your intent in reading it. It worked out well.
I heard it like it was.
You want it to be.
I heard it like it was sung by that band that did "Eye of the Tiger." To survival. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sylvester and the Rockies was the name of the band.
I thought it was called the Apollos. My bad.
That might be it. I don't know. Yeah. So I gotta say, I had no interest in the Deceased series when it first began. I was like, oh, all right, it's DC, but they put zombies in it. Cool. Although I will admit, Deceased, I love the name. I'm a sucker for that name. Yeah. And it turned out Tom Taylor wrote the crap out of it, and I had a really great time. And then, so anybody who hasn't read it, there's a 3-issue miniseries that just completed called Deceased Unkillables. And it's basically what happens with some of the villains / anti-heroes during the Deceased miniseries.
Yeah. And I was going to say, other than you, Brian, did you read Deceased at all?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah. But
did you read this book?
No. You know, and I got to come clean. I haven't read any 1, 2, or 3. I've been faking it this whole time.
All right, so I can see him down there. He's laughing.
So this book took place. Yeah. This book takes place in the Deceased series. There's in the Deceased series. Now I'm in the middle. In the Deceased series, there is a point where the heroes leave Earth, or the survivors leave Earth for a period of time. This is what happens to the anti-heroes that are left on Earth after the heroes have left. So, that was just the setup. Sorry.
Oh no, great. Now I read the first issue and I was like, I don't know, man. This isn't for me. Like, it's cute that they have a little. What are they? The lobsters?
Tree lobsters.
Yeah.
Tree lobsters.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they had swag. They had T-shirts printed and hats printed and stuff. And it just felt like a really strange kind of. I'll tell you what it felt like. It felt like Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, it felt like
we're going to talk about it a little later.
Like a Matt Fraction joke in the middle of a different book. Yeah.
Yeah, so it felt real weird. But I got to say, reading this last issue, I was hooting and hollering, boy. I was having a good time. I thought this was great. The violence was great. It was really disgusting. I was, there's times I don't want to clog up our have a spoiler alert instant message chat. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to clog it up, but I will clog up Noel's instant message, and I'll just send him pictures of stuff that I'm cackling at. So I thought this was great. Brian, you didn't read it, so shut up. Noel, what'd you think?
I did read
it. You did read it? You didn't read it?
I did read it.
Oh.
I mean, so you read this, but you didn't read anything else before it?
No. I read 1, 2, and 3 of this. I didn't read the original miniseries.
I didn't hear that.
No, you guys are not crazy. I jokingly said that I hadn't read any of it and was kidding.
So that's the thing. Sarcasm is hard because you always sound very literal.
I do, but
it's hard. Like
I have yet mastered it. It just didn't work out that time. I'm
never gonna play poker with you because your tell is that you have no tell. Oh, see? All right. For the visual.
That was like what's her name from Arrested Development?
Lucy.
What are you doing with your face?
For those only listening, Brian's trying to wink.
Yeah. So,
it looks like you're taking an imaginary bite out of a sandwich that's just slightly out of frame.
All right. Noah, what'd you think of the book?
I thought it was fantastic. So this, for years and years, people have been talking about how Injustice is like the best Elseworlds, and you should be reading it because it's so fun and it's so wonderful. And I'm like, yeah, it's a video game. And then I read some of them. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. And it's Tom Taylor. This is the exact same feel. This is like a balls to the wall. Continuity doesn't matter. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. And it's so incredibly entertaining. Deceased, same exact way. This reads just like that, where it's insane. And it's really fun insane. Like, what if you had the keys to the kingdom, what would you do? And Tom Taylor would do a whole bunch of really fun, fucked up stuff. Yeah, it's really wonderful.
Brian,
yes.
Having only read this miniseries, what did you think?
I liked it. I was that was the point of me saying that earlier, was that I thought it stood on its own, right? I mean, I can't say for sure. I know who all these characters are. I know exactly how they would behave. I know the idea of the world has been taken over by zombies, right? All that being said, it stood on its own, and it was fun. It was just like you were saying, Hoot and Hollow. It was like a rollicking good time where anything can happen. As various characters get turned into zombies, it's like the Mirror Master. I was like, well, what the hell are you gonna do now? You can go through any mirror, or reflective surface. Yeah,
no one's safe too. Like
Right.
throughout the last 2 issues, it's been these anti-heroes trying to train and keep a bunch of orphans safe. They don't entirely succeed.
Right, which was a shock too.
Yeah,
and we know.
And at first, so there's. Do we want to straight up spoil it or kind of talk around it? There's
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
I know, but still, cue the crowd. When Mary Marvel shows up. So at first that ticked me off. Like if you were if you're have the ability to contribute and help, and you're not intentionally not for weeks or months or however long they're there under duress and danger, what the hell? Like, that's a cheap reveal. But then when they actually get into the explanation really, really quickly of her knowing that she's mortal with the powers of a god, if she was infected, it would be 10 times worse. So she's literally been like saving herself from hurting others, which I thought was like really, really cool. And it was, that explanation was achieved in like 2 panels. I was like, this is amazing economical writing and art. And it's just, this doesn't have any reason to be as good as it is.
I 100% agree. Yeah. When I saw the Mary Marvel thing, I was like, what? She was there the whole, what do you?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I thought it was a great reveal after I read the reasoning for the reveal, and I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. The art I wasn't into in the first issue, but it's really grown on me. Yeah, it feels a little bit like Rip, RYP. Do you remember that guy? I haven't seen him for a while, but he used to do a lot of stuff for like Warren Ellis and Alan Moore books for that little company.
Yeah, isn't it like Juan Jose Reap?
Yeah, that's it. Juan Jose Rip. Yep. Thanks. Yep. Reminds me of that a little bit. It's a brutal book, man. This was a lot of fun. And I actually laughed out loud a couple of times. I will show you one where, they're training these children in the style that they have been trained in. So basically there's, what is her name? Cheetah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got a little buddy with little cat ears.
Yeah.
And then she calls her Good Kitty while they're on the bus, and the face that Cheetah makes as she says, only she's allowed to call me that. I loved it. I actually laughed out loud. I thought it was really funny, really charming. This is right up my alley. Something with a lot of blood and gore, but also superheroes, but also some comedy.
Yeah, it's got a lot of heart. Yeah, it's got a lot of heart too. Which is
like
really nice.
with Shiva, Lady Shiva, and Cassandra. It was a very touching moment. From a character that you need to know all their backstory, but we all do.
I mean, you get the like, if even in the last 2 issues, you get the impression like, oh, my mother runs a league of assassins or a group of assassins, and I was raised like shit. That's the baseline of anything that's given, and is all you need. Is this impenetrable for anybody that knows nothing about DC? Probably.
Yeah. Why would they be making a comic called DC anyway?
Yeah, it's like it's like walking into Disney World and saying like, I never really liked this brand. I'm not having any fun.
With this half fish, half lady. person.
Yeah, yeah. What's this mer people bullshit? You mean these?
This lady doesn't seem to know what a fork is. It's a dingle hopper. What's up with this lady?
Why do these mice talk? They're rodents. Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward to the next series in Deceased because there is a sequel coming, also from Tom Taylor, I believe. Dead Earth, is that what it's called, or
A Dead Planet or Dead Earth, something like that. It's it appears to be for those that haven't read the original series, which I would say go back and read because it's amazing. It's 6 issues and it's just fun as hell. Yeah. I think it's supposed to be set many, many years in the future when the heroes come back. So we have an aged up Jonathan Kent, an aged up Damian Wayne. So like the new generation of Batman and Superman coming back to save the world. I have no idea.
That sounds interesting. Maybe they found a way.
I'm a sucker for that sort of.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's the whole thing where it's just like, what would you do if you had, carte blanche? And he's just like, I'm gonna age everyone up. I'm gonna do some crazy shit. Like heroes die, just straight up die. It was great.
But before that even happens, there's already a sequel called Deceased: Hope at World's End. I will show it to you now. There it is. It's a digital only DC or digital first DC book. And Diamond has this to say: the anti-life equation has infected over 1 billion people on Earth. Heroes and villains have fallen. In the immediate aftermath of the destruction of Metropolis, Superman and Wonder Woman spearhead a plan to try and stem the tide of infection, preserve and protect survivors, and develop a plan for what's next. In the Earth's darkest hour, heroes will bring hope. 2019's blockbuster series Deceased makes its digital first debut with stories set before the fall of Earth by Tom Taylor. I removed myself from the stream by accident. I'm back. So yeah, I love this cover by Ben Oliver. He's a great digital painter. I love him. That being said, I'm not a huge fan of Dustin Nguyen. I like his watercolors occasionally, but it doesn't feel tight enough for me. It feels very loose. Yeah. But also, it's one of those books where every issue is widescreen, or every page, I should say, is widescreen. And so as you tip through it, that's the whole page. You get basically a half a page per page. Remove myself from the stream again. There we go. Yeah. So what did you think, Noel?
It was fine. The story was fine. So I think this is like the distinction almost between digital first and digital only. This is digital only, so it's for a reader, meaning that you get half a comic, whereas the other ones that are because it's I really dislike how they're doing. Like this whole format of doing only half a page is almost it only functions for somebody that's reading on their phone, like a very small thing. Whereas other than that, it just functions as annoying to literally flip a page every 2 seconds to just get to like the next panel. Like it messes with panel progression for me. And I don't enjoy it. The story itself was cool. But because it was so short, it felt slight. And I'm going to wait till it's collected. Like I'm not going to continue this in digital.
Well, also, how do you feel about the fact that it's going back and telling more of the same story from the first trilogy or the first miniseries?
I like the idea in so much as where some of these characters had been or were or are. So like Jimmy Olsen never really even thought about during the original series. And now they're showing us what happened to him, where he went. This is not unlike during the run of the original 6, there was a one shot or a one and done that kind of showed you what was happening on Apocalypse,
which I really didn't like.
I kind of dug it because they touched a little bit on magic and John Constantine and you got to see Mr. Miracle and Barda, which are characters that I love. So it was cool. It wasn't as good as the original series, but it was like it didn't feel useless. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how this feels. Like it feels like a really, really good add-on or a cutscene, but it doesn't feel vital yet.
I tell you, it feels a little bit like all of these disparate miniseries feel like we're just kind of here's this, but then here's this one, here's this one. Like it doesn't feel like it really has a plan. And I mean, it makes sense. It feels like they did Deceased and then decided, oh shit, this did really well. We need to do more of this. Let's make more. And so it feels a little bit like they're just sort of throwing stories out as opposed to here's volume 1, here's volume 2, here's volume 3. And I feel like, let's say, for instance, they were going to make an omnibus, Deceased omnibus. How would you put these things in there? Because you've got the main story, and then you've got Unkillables, which happens during the main story, and then you've got Hope at World's End, which takes place during the main story. It just feels strange.
I'll tell you how I would like them to do it, just in chronological order, which is how a good omnibus is put together. As the resident omnibus expert, amateur,
out of the three of us, yes,
the resident omnibus amateur.
I will, yeah, resident omnibus Amy, Omni Amy. I despise when, let's say, an event is collected in an omnibus. I despise it when they block things off and it doesn't like do it in a timeline. So
same.
Great examples. Annihilation, doesn't matter when the books were released. They are presented in order of story. So you've got like the some of the miniseries that are 3 to 4 issues long. They're 1, 2, and 3, and then 2 or 3 other books, and then number 4. Like it's told to you in a linear progression. Whereas the Secret Invasion omnibus, which I have not bought and I don't want because of this, it literally just chunks everything. So it's like 10 issues of New Avengers, the 6 issues of Secret Invasion, the 10 issues of it's literally chunks like you're reading a bunch of separate books. Whereas if you remember that event, all the Avengers books were literally happening on top of each other and continuing the story. So you're like, I have to retain everything and then go, and then retain everything and then go. It's really shitty. So if they ever collect this in large format, I want all this shit to happen literally before they go, or how we're reading it now, maybe, like
release order of story.
Yeah, because that hasn't been that bad.
Because it's different also from like Secret Invasion was a planned event where different books had something to do with each other each week. But this is different. This was like Deceased and then everything.
Hi, Cody. Cody's tuning in. I think Spider-Man Clone Conspiracy did this, he says. So, Cody, the Spider-Man Clone Conspiracy trade paperback did... What's this version? What's this? Is that everything is chronological or...
Chunks.
Oh, I see. In chunks, not in order. No, sir. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like Mr.
Not
Horse.
a fan at all.
Nope. Don't like it.
Not a fan.
Mr. Horse.
Mr. Horse, I'm sorry, from Ren and Stimpy.
Don't apologize.
No,
that reference
like
was
it.
on point.
I never.
Thank you.
No, I never watched Ren and Stimpy. I never vibed.
You never felt alive, have you?
Nope.
Whoa. Well, who's to say?
You.
Speaking of people who may or may not be or feel alive, this Deceased Hope at World's End. Okay. It was funny because the title makes it sound different than it is, and I didn't read that description beforehand, nor did I see its existence. So the previous one, Unkillables, I was like, this shit's going downhill. Everybody's problem. There's problems here, right? Not in the story, but for the characters. And this one, I'm like, all right, well, Superman and Wonder Woman are on the cover. I don't know how this is working out, but the world has already ended. Things will move forward. It will be fine. But that is not the case. I guess I felt kind of so, not having read the other thing. I guess I felt similarly to you guys. Like, I got what I thought was cool of that world in the previous one. And this one, it was a cool story. I didn't like love it or anything, Although, interestingly, I thought of it more like getting 2 pages per rather than half, right? So usually when you're reading it on a digital reader, if it's a splash page, you turn it into landscape,
I see.
So I thought of it not paying attention to any panel breaks or how it would actually be printed. But I was just like, oh, I'm reading it in this.
This is a full double page spread. Every panel is a double page spread.
It's a full double page spread every single hit. However, there's like minimal dialogue. It's a full page spread and no story.
That's a real glass is half full.
Yeah.
Look at this. I like that.
Yeah, I mean that's just how I perceived it. I also tend to prefer it to be portrait landscape. Generally, actually, you know what? I'm looking through, and the reasoning doesn't apply. I generally find that words are a little too small when we're reading a regular comic when we go to landscape mode, just slightly. And it's like if it was just a little bit bigger.
That's why I zoom in because I got old man eyes. So even on a regular page, I'll be like.
I mean, and let's be honest too. If I was just reading an actual issue, I would have to like kind of refocus a little in if it's a double page spread in the text box. It's not. It's the same exact user issue or user interface. This size or this size, I still have to close up or move it in.
To wrap up this story, though, I think this was great. As far as like Deceased as an event, if I'm going to recommend it, or if I'm asked, do I recommend Deceased? Yes, I recommend. It as a whole. Yeah,
this didn't turn the ship over or anything. This is still fun. I would want more of this instead of just like in these little digital chunks. And I'll wait. Yeah.
Let's start doing some thunder rounds. I got my little timer here. I'm going to turn it on because that's how things work. Here we go. And I'm going to put 1 minute. All right. So, Brian, as succinctly as you can, what is a thunder round?
A thunder round is 60 seconds of talking or thoughts expressed in another way about one comic, and then it's over. 60 seconds, and then it's done. It's never discussed again, and there is no more talk about it ever.
Yeah. In fact, every copy of the issue that is discussed disappears.
Yeah. So if we decide to do a thunder round on a key issue, you fucked.
That's it.
Yeah, read it first.
You don't get it. All right, so Noel's up first with Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 10, written by Matt Fraction and art by Steve Lieber.
Okay.
Noel, you ready for this?
Yeah, I didn't know I was doing it for this one, but all right.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen by Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber is a book that's very enjoyable and entertaining to read. It's also been a very difficult read if you're... It's a very intentionally intense and out of order story. So reading it in issues is just it's a struggle, but a fun struggle, but a struggle. This is not a breezy read, even though all of it's breezy-ish. Like the story itself is slight, but it's just so intricate that you can't just like quickly go through it. In the story so far, Jimmy has constantly been thwarting attempts at his life, and then here we finally realize as to who is trying to kill him, and it breaks his heart a little bit. The book itself is fun, but it's sometimes it's a little too cute to the point where you're just like, all right.
End of round.
End of round.
Brian, while I appreciate your description, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I've been trying to catch up on Jimmy Olsen. I read issues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 yesterday and today, and I couldn't do it. And I'll tell you why. Because this book is not kind to binge reading. It is what like Noel likes to say, too cute by half sometimes.
Yeah, it's too cute by half.
There are times where this book has me cackling out loud, and my wife goes, what is this? What's happening? But then there's other times where I'm skipping paragraphs of text because I know it's nonsense and it brings nothing to the book. Like every segment starts with a little text box that it's skippable. Like you kind of need it to set up what you're looking at, but also, like every other page has that. And so I luckily it has bolded words, so I'm able to just go, oh, this is important, this is important, this is important. There we go.
They're all just alliteration jokes, which is really, really funny for 2 or 3 issues or sparsed out. But literally every third page is an alliteration joke in, like 200 words of it before you get to like the fun part of reading comics and the panels and the jokes. So after a while, it just becomes like, all right, I get it. You did it 20 effing times, fine. Yeah. But even I suspect that even the writer knows that they're doing this too, because a lot of them sometimes are, oh, we're doing this again, like it's fourth wall breaking, joking about how it's an old joke. So it's just like, all right, just create a new paradigm if it's even boring you.
Yeah.
However, the content of the book is just really, really fun and breezy. The art is beautiful. The story is fun as hell. But then it gets halted to a stop by something that's just a little too cute or too dumb. It's weird. Although, this is totally worth reading.
It is worth reading. And it's got some of my favorite Batman stuff, which is not Batman stuff. This, if you're going to read this book, it's like I said earlier with the Deceased Unkillables, where all of a sudden everyone had merch for the thing that they just talked about just now. Yeah. And this book is filled with stuff like that. So if you're going in looking for actual Batman stuff, it's not Batman. It's just jokes at Batman's expense. But they're funny and I laughed at them. So, but to counterpoint that, there's a real great Superman scene in issue 1 or 2. That's, one of my favorite Superman scenes. That's like one of my favorite versions of Superman, and his interaction with Jimmy Olsen is lovely. So it's sort of all over the place, this book, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. And if you didn't know, like they give Jimmy a family. I don't know if he ever had one before. He's got a sister and a brother. And his actual name is not James, it's Jimberly.
Jimberly? Yeah. I think that's original.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure that's original.
Oh, okay.
But it's a whole. It's like 3 names. It's like Jimberly James Jing Olsen. Like all of them have really stupid J names, which is another one of those like jokes it's too cute and then it comes back around. This is definitely a book that rewards but then also aggravates dedicated readers. So it's this is kind of the feeling that I had when I was rereading Hawkeye. Maybe it was like residual placed on that, like you're doing shit in here in Jimmy Olsen that you were doing 10 years ago, and in Jimmy Olsen it's tweaking at me. So it's like now I'm feeling it over here at Hawkeye.
Nice name.
Yeah.
Talking about Jimmy Olsen's name, just real quick before we move on. Jimmy has somehow engaged in a prank off with Batman.
A little bit.
And Batman, I think, drops the mic by saying, "Oh, I had your name legally changed to Jimphony, like symphony, but it starts with Jim. Batman always wins, Jimphony. Remember that."
Yeah.
I feel like that's better than Kimberly. I would rather be Jimphony than Kimberly out of the 2. Although I didn't grow up with Kimberly.
Jimberly's a family name, though. There's prestige.
Right. There you go, then. There you go.
Brian, you're up. It's time for your Thunder Round.
Really? Thunder Round. I forgot.
There it is.
I forgot.
It's been so long since we've done Thunder Rounds.
It's been a long time. Yeah. Thunder Round.
Thank you. Your Thunder Round is going to be Flash Fastest Man Alive, number 4, written by Gail Simone and art by Clayton Henry. It is a digital first DC release. 60 seconds on the clock. Go.
So I was looking forward to this, and I did not realize, or still I'm not sure, if this is the first part of this story. It's hard to say. This one is in the up and down portrait format. Flash has traveled into the future. There's a whole city that has super speed, but it's not so great. Eobard Thawne is in charge, and he doles out the super speed in 10-minute blocks just to give you a little taste. It's like a drug kind of thing. And then let's see. Oh, they do the thing where he was a big fan of Barry Allen, and then something happened. When he got his super speed, he was driven crazy, which I don't think is the original deal. But let's see. The thing that I thought, no, it's not in this issue. It's in the other Flash issue. It was cool. You know, Flash, Reverse Flash, fun in the future, but does not conclude a story.
End round. Shut up.
I was trying to eat really
Also,
fast while I wasn't on camera.
It was your thunder round of eating.
Oh, God, I just can't breathe.
What was it?
What am I eating?
Yeah.
Out of camera, Sam slipped like a pancake, eggs, and a piece of bacon with some sliced strawberries.
Nice. It was a full.
I want Sam to slip me that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a breakfast taco, so the pancake had egg and bacon in it, but there's no syrup. So,
oh, fuck that.
Can you hear me? There's no syrup. Either way, hint.
Noel,
Yeah.
the final Thunder round.
Thunder round.
Thank you. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, number 14, written by Jordi Belair with art by David Lopez. There it is. He put it up on the screen there.
Look at that,
you got
that burned cover.
It's pretty cool.
That is
you
the
can see the
first
page
page
underneath
too.
it.
That is the first page.
Mm.
Oh,
57,
I'm live.
56.
All right, so I before quarantine, I had decided to drop this book because I had been reading it from the jump, and I did not like the Hellmouth crossover very much. I think it was a little bit. It didn't feel like an event. It was a little slapdash the way that the tie-ins worked, and I almost forgot plot points. But then it ended in a pretty good way. Like it ended with a lot of like earth-changing stuff. So during the quarantine, I had reached out to my local comic shop, and he was just like, "Don't be a dick," and I was like, "All right, I'll try and read some more." And then this issue came out, and the art's fantastic. The story is a different story than I'm used to in the Buffyverse because her whole group is dispersed, completely and permanently dispersed, and she has new Scooby Gang members. One of which is Kendra, the Slayer that was set to replace her while she was in hell, but now she's back and they're together. Oh, okay.
Kendra is still. So I guess I can find out on my own if Kendra is still alive. She was killed, right? And
yeah, she was unceremoniously killed in the show.
Yeah.
Like after 2 issues. Now she's a part of the Scooby Gang, and they clash. Robin, the principal in like later seasons, whose mother was a Slayer. Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah.
Robin Woods.
Yeah, he's
Woodside.
on Lucifer now.
Oh, DB Woodside's the actual actor. Either way, he's a high school student with them and has Watcher lineage in his family, so he's a Watcher in training. So like her Scooby Gang is completely different. Some main characters have died, some have escaped and like left the state. This book ends with a very weird kind of cliffhanger that at first I didn't understand, and when I looked it up, now it's like, oh shit, are they trying this? And it was just kind of cool. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it. Spoiler alert.
I want to read it. Max Manzini says, "Good morning."
Good morning.
And Melly G says, "Yum, but syrup is a most."
Probably must.
Is a must. Oh, syrup is a must. Oh yeah, that's true.
It's also a moist.
Syrup is a moist. That's true. It fits.
I always ask for that when I'm at IHOP and they forget to bring it to the table. I'm like, please bring me your finest moist.
Yeah.
If you're at an
They're like, oh, the syrup.
Oh, maybe
moist. If you're at an IHOP, there's sticky moistness on the tables because no matter what they wipe it with, it's still.
I've not been doing IHOP in over 25 years, probably.
Well, go to a Denny's and IHOP or any kind of large.
There's not so many around anymore.
Breakfast apparatus.
Like, there's no Denny's in the area.
I mean, you could travel to Carolina and
I could
go to a Waffle House that's open now.
I could do that.
I gotta tell you. There is in Bryn Mawr, there is an IHOP, and I will go out of my way. Susha and I will drive to Bryn Mawr because I want IHOP. And they did a thing a while ago where they were called IHOB.
Yeah.
And so they changed their P to a B. They flipped it.
Yeah.
And they were International House of Burgers.
Yes.
And everyone made fun of it and whatever. And it was a gag.
Yeah.
It was obviously just a thing to be like, we do burgers now. And those burgers are awesome.
Really?
I was really surprised.
The best burger I've ever had was at a Denny's. Now, I was intoxicated at the time because it was like 2 a.m. However, it was a Grand Slam burger. So it was essentially breakfast, a full breakfast on top of a burger. And it was one of the best things I've ever had in my life. The memory of it is a much happier one than probably the results of that evening. And I'm never going to let that go. Never.
If you're in Manayunk, Lucky's Last Chance, they do a breakfast burger as well. It's like French toast is the bread, and then you've got egg, cheese, and then burger and bacon, and then a little thing you can dip the syrup. If you want to dip it in some moist, you dip it in the syrup.
It's a burger you can't hold. You have to actually use a fork and knife because that French toast bun. I'm hungry.
It's so good.
It's right here.
I guess we should talk about what we're here for. We were going to talk about Plunge.
But I forgot to put that in the notes.
It wasn't on the notes, so I guess fuck me.
Did anyone else read it?
No Swamp Thing?
No Swamp Thing.
No Swamp Thing.
No, it's not in the notes.
Swamp
Thing's in the notes. We're doing it.
Swamp Thing's in the notes.
Oh, shit, is it?
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, shit, it is.
Check those notes.
Well, it's too late.
Well,
Rat Queens. What?
I didn't know if you guys had read the Plunge.
I did not read.
It's
I like
great.
Swamp Thing, though.
It's great. It's got, listen, here we go. Math zombies. That's all you need to know. Rat Queens Volume 1, Sass and Sorcery, written by Curtis J. Wiebe. Wiebe is his name. With art by Rock Upchurch. And Diamond has this to say: who are the Rat Queens? A pack of booze-guzzling, death-dealing battle maidens for hire, and they're in the business of killing all God's creatures for profit. It's also a darkly comedic sass and sorcery series starring Hannah, the rockabilly elven mage, Violet, the hipster dwarven fighter, Dee, the atheist human cleric, and Betty, the hippie smidgen thief. And Betty, the hippie smidgen thief. It makes it sound like she steals smidgens, but she's a smidgen who is a thief. This modern spin on an old school genre is a violent monster-killing epic that is like Buffy meets Tank Girl in a Lord of the Rings world on crack. You guys think that is appropriate description?
Yeah. When this was asked of us, I had only really known about this book based off of the controversy of it. So here's a question we didn't work out beforehand. I have the page up to kind of after reading about everything that's happened with this book, it almost feels like it's a cursed book. Because it's more than just like one artist being arrested. It was like a series of artists dropping and starting and like things happened up to the point where now the original writer is not even on the book anymore.
Oh.
He's just like done. Yeah, it's a very weird history of this book, and I don't know if you want to get into it beforehand or after.
I have no idea about any of this.
I'll straight up pull up the page. So
give us the quick and moist.
The quick and moist. So after artist Rock Upchurch was arrested on charges of domestic violence in November 2014, Wiebe announced that Upchurch would no longer be illustrating the series. In December 2014, Image Comics announced that Stepjen Sejic would continue the series as artist beginning with issue 9. So 8 issues of Rock Upchurch, and then he was arrested for domestic violence. In February 2015, preceded by a special issue about the Orc Warrior Braga. Artist Tess Fowler in January 2015. After the Sejic, I can't say his name, left the series. I always say
Stefan Sejic.
Sejic left the series in July for health reasons, only doing 2 issues. Fowler, who had done the one-shot before, continued the series as the main artist, joined by colorist Tamara Bonvillain. In April 2016, so that's only 3 months later, about a year later, Fowler left the title, and Wiebe paused work on it. In May 2016, Fowler wrote that Wiebe pushed her out to make room for Upchurch's return by then for the 4th arc. Wiebe denied this and said that the collaboration was not working out creatively, and were the reasons for Fowler's departure in the comics hiatus. Then, 2 months later, Wiebe announced that Rat Queens would continue as a webcomic. Early strips in this format were drawn by Mike Norton. Then, In November 2016, 4 months after that, Weeby announced that Rat Queens would return to print as a new series artist, Owen Gianni. So they did 16 issues of this first volume, 8 with Rock Up Church, 2 with Sedgwick, and that's 6 with Fowler. So it's up to 16 issues. Then a webcomic with Norton. And then on Reddit, he announced that issue 16 that he did with Fowler, we're going to forget about it. It's never going to be collected. It was the start of an arc that's never going to happen. We're rebooting the book altogether, and he did with Gianni. They ended their work together with the new issue, with issue 15 of the second volume. And now the new writer, and then Weeby quit. He was just like, I'm going to do other stuff, but the book is popular and people love it. So Ryan Ferrier, who was the letterer, is now the writer of the book. And Priscilla Petrates is the new artist, and they've been going strong since. So this book has gone through like the ringer of crazy, weird happenings from arrests to social media fights to canceling it to restarting it again to the writer just being like, I'm out, but probably still owning the book itself. Like, just insanity.
I kind of get it. Because for a while there, because I've been privy to a lot of this stuff. Not privy. I don't know, have no insider knowledge. I mean, I've been aware of like the ups and downs with this series and the strange things that have been going on. And so after a while, I was just kind of like, God damn it! I feel so bad for the writer of this book who just wants to put out his source and sorcery comedy, feminist dope ass book, and people keep fucking it up for him. Now, I'm sure there are things behind the scenes that I'm unaware of, and maybe he's, doing some of this to himself. I have no idea. But after a while,
I mean, it is possible that they.
Yeah,
I mean, he could be the aggressor for all we know. Because who knows? Because the one part of it that was really, really weird was Tess Fowler essentially quitting the book and then publicly being like, "Hey, I was pushed out because they're bringing back Rock Up Church." But that actually never happened. So did that not happen because she made it public, or was it never like, was she just mistaken? Yeah, it was just all kinds of weird stuff. And then it finally came back, lasted for 15 issues. And then again, he left. But I thought what was really, really cool about it though, is that 16th issue of the start of an arc that's never going to get finished will never be reprinted. Yeah. And it's in no collections. Yeah. So there's like a random issue of Rat Queens, number 16, volume 1. That is gone. Yeah. I mean, I for when I read this for shits and giggles, I looked it up on eBay, like who's selling this and like how much are they trying to get for it? And it's really not that big a deal. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. So it seems also like the issues with the artists, other than Tess Fowler, don't seem to have been related to the writer, right? Like they're all just.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean your artist gets arrested for tussling with his wife,
right.
Which is
that's the thing. I didn't want to make it out like it. No, maybe left it on a note like maybe it's his fault, but it doesn't.
No, I just mean like usually you have one problem if you have any problems at all.
Right.
He had like 4 different types of problems back to back.
Yeah.
Maybe he owned one, but other than that, like that's like a cursed book.
Yeah, that does sound. So, but does it? Oh, I'm sorry, JD. Yeah, are you?
Melly G says, I had no idea about all that happened. I really enjoyed the comic. I have 6 volumes, which, Melly G is the one who asked that we talk about it this week. So you've learned something today. Now, I don't know if it's stuff you wanted to learn. Maybe I don't know if it's going to affect your enjoyment of the book at all, but there's some knowledge for you. Now, what did you guys think of the actual book? Because I got to say, I read this for, I do a book club at my shop. And we did this a couple years ago for my book club. And so I really enjoyed it back then, but I still was like, do I want to read this again so soon? I did. I really enjoyed rereading it this week. I had a blast with it. I was laughing again. I was having a good time. I think this is a really fun, and I'm not a huge fantasy guy. My big brother, he always grew up in the D&D world, and he was a big D&D guy. And that was sort of my intro to it. Never really sort of was my bag. I was more into like maybe like stuff like The Matrix, sci-fi stuff. Mm-hmm. But this was a bucket of fun. And even if you don't like Dungeons and Dragons style gameplay or stories, I think this is charming enough that it surpasses all of that, and it's just a real fun story. What did you think, Noel?
Oh no, I completely agree. When it was suggested, I was very apprehensive because it's not something that I enjoy reading for the most part, like sword and sorcery stuff. It's visually, I even have a trouble kind of like, watching all of it. Like I don't just gravitate to the genre. But I gave the first issue a shot and it was so fun. And it just continued to be so fun. And I love these characters. This was better than it was a wonderful surprise. I thought it would be a chore. Say
the characters are Betty, Dee, Hannah, and Violet. Although the lettering makes it look like Viglet.
I like that a lot. The like quick intro to each character kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel bad saying I really love the art too.
Oh, the art's great. It's really a shame.
It's a really good art. It sucks that guy did, or at least was incredibly accused of doing whatever terrible things he did. I have no idea.
Now, to be fair, I haven't done no research on how that whole situation ended up.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not in jail.
Yeah.
But Brian, what did you think of the book?
So real quick before that, Melissa, can you tell us, is there an end of a story in a satisfying way? I'm super into reading more of this. I loved it. But if it's just kind of like all of these things and the stoppages have prevented it from really ending, I don't know. It's an amorphous sort of question. Obviously it could keep going and there's an ending here, but just in general. I
mean, I could attempt to answer that for you. Like, it appears as though this book is set up very much like a Big Two comic, where these are just characters you follow. There's no like playing D&D. There's no explicit end goal for the story that they're telling. So each arc kind of feels of its own. There's only like one or two little threads, but the story itself was taken care of. So if you wanted to just start picking up the trades, 1, 2, and 3 are that first 15 issues, and then
satisfying. So
and then the next 3 are the new artists, the new start.
Yeah. Like obviously it's meant, or not obviously, but it's meant to like keep continuing. But is there enough of it to like feel like, okay, cool, we got a full, like
I would say with the first 3 volumes, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like she said too, there's 6. Like each volume is 5 issues, and like that 16th issue was the start of a new arc, like just a new little campaign that they just decided not to finish. So not knowing it exists is no big deal.
Right. Yeah, it's cool. I love it. This one panel really jumped out at me where right in the beginning, where Violet has that sword, like breaking the panel.
Oh yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I found the characters, they're so engaging, so fun. What's her name? Betty is great. She's awesome. The idea of the woman who is the cleric, who has rejected the god of her culture as not existing, but like she is enough for the holy power to manifest. I love that idea. The cleric who draws it from her own, selfness or through some other way, who knows how that progresses, but very cool. The art is engaging. The characters are so interesting. The Violet's got a beard that she shaves. That's not a huge character element, but it's fun. Anyway, I loved it. And I'd love to keep going with it. I think it's kind of, the D&D influence is interesting. So I never was a huge D&D player, but I love fantasy stuff. I probably have more in my reading history of sci-fi, but there's some real strong fantasy elements. And so all of this is like right up my alley. And the sort of idea, like there's this bar where groups of adventurers gather, and they have different names. The 4 Daves. It's awesome. But it's kind of like the experience of the characters playing playing D&D.
Yeah, like the plot mechanics of the story are similar to what a campaign would be or a game would be, and then it just is the characters acting on their own on their own, not some sort of device of someone making choices for them. It's just it's just the start of campaigns, and then the story unfolds. So a lot of times, I can't remember what it's been, but I've read things that try and capture the spirit of D&D or role-playing games, and they do it in a novel way, or like a novelty of like, quick, roll the dice, like kind of shit like that. And that's not always, to me, that's not capturing the magic of these stories. It's whereas this does, because it doesn't do shit like that. It's literally just like, hey, here's 3 teams. You 3 teams each have a task. Go do it and come back. Like, just start and then let it go, as opposed to keep reminding you that you're in a game or that you're in an active story.
Because the idea when you're playing a game is you want it to feel as little like playing a game and as much like reality as you can. Like,
exactly.
That's the games. I thought
Melly wants to know what our favorite character is.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not much one for favorites. There
are elements of every character I like.
Yeah, it's a tie between Betty and Violet for me.
Yeah.
I like Violet because she has a beard. So just something quick I wanted to touch on. As I started reading the issues, there were things like this where we've got Violet, and it's like, oh no, I've bent over and this arrow is lifting up my skirt. And yeah, I'm wearing pants, but look, there's my little rumpy. And I was, and a lot of the characters are drawn sort of like sexualized a little bit with the super short skirt and the cleavage hanging down, everything like that. And so at first I was a little concerned. Is this going to be one of those male gazy kind of like, they're all just super hot and they all want to have sex and do fights and which felt a little douchey to me, if I may. But I think there are things throughout the series that counterbalance that. And I think one of those is Violet's, the fact that she comes from a race of people that they all have beards. And whether you're a male or a female, you have a big, luxurious beard. And so her brother shows up in this volume and is like, you shaved your beard. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? And eventually she actually grows it out. And Melly G comments, her beard is a huge thing in the upcoming volumes. Wow. So while I was a little concerned at first, I think this does an interesting job of sort of giving you strong female characters with agency, but they're also sexual beings. I think it handles it very well.
Yeah,
I was a little nervous.
I was gonna mention that too. Like that, those pinups at the front don't do any kind of justice to the actual characterizations, because they love to drink and fight and fuck. Like they are full-fleshed characters that aren't like adherent to any specific kind of gender role, because they could take care of literally everything and anything. They're the roughnecks of the entire town. Like, these women are no joke. And that those pinups at the beginning don't really kind of show that. And so it being like the first 2 slides, it's like, cool, don't care. And it's not until you actually start reading that it comes through.
Oh, that's funny. I really liked them. In the beginning. I thought it was cool to have like a very short description of what, kind of like a little thing to hang your hat on about what each character was. The only I'm sorry, I don't mind that. You know what? Because my brain is bad. I always need an introduction to who we're going to be reading. It helps set up my brain space where this story is going to occupy. And if I have a clear visual on who the characters are going to be and who I'm supposed to be focusing on, it really helped me out. It was really more of like the things of like oops, I've dropped something. Now look at my butt. Is that sort of. Yeah, the Violet one was the only one I thought, like, after having read the book, I was like, that doesn't say anything about the character that she is. She should have a sword out or something.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. Yeah. Oh, also, the thing with the guy, the guy who's the captain of the guard, who's, pretty affable for a while.
Sawyer?
Cuts the dude's hands off. Yeah. That was an awesome surprise.
Yeah, he's, and him and Hannah have some sort of relationship. This is just a great book. This is really fun. This is good shit.
I was slightly disappointed by... I was like, well, it was still fun, but I'm a little disappointed when Bernadette turned out to be the one behind it, but then she wasn't the one behind it.
Yeah.
There's more coming, you know.
Well,
And the mix of the atheist cleric, that's a cool scene too. That
Great
whole
violence.
is cool.
wait, she was the one behind it. She just wasn't behind the larger plot.
That's what
She
I mean.
hired the
Not
assassins.
behind the whole deal. She was
But
behind
there's
the part. Yeah.
a whole bigger thing about the church and the cult and
Yeah.
Squid
But
God.
she has rejected. I'm wondering if it's going to turn out that Violet, you know, the Squid God is like, no, I've been empowering you the whole time. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't you at all. We'll see. I'm curious to see what her deal is.
The series continues strong for a while. I'm not all caught up. To be honest, I was a little turned off by all the ups and downs and sort of the publishing problems.
Yeah, for no other reason than the fact that it's an uncertain timeline as to when you're going to get the next volume. Like if they can't keep a schedule, then yeah, I'd be apprehensive to read it until it's done.
Yeah.
You know, like if
it's not even like that, you know, because I know Image, a lot of what the creators do these days is they will write 6 issues, 12 issues, whatever, take a couple of months off to like catch up, and then they'll come back. But you're kind of aware of that moving into the series. Yeah. This was so many like, we're going to do this, but then nope, we're going to do this instead. And it's not the fact that they were taking breaks. I like it actually when indie books like this just do it a little chunk at a time. I'm totally fine with that. I do not need it to be monthly. In order to keep interest in it, because I can't keep up with most monthly books anyway.
I think what I was trying to say was the same thing you just said. I don't mean monthly. I just mean the ups and downs of their schedule, not a schedule.
Yeah. Or like the not sticking with what they said they're going to do, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Melly G says there is going to be more surprises with Sawyer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you this. Betty, on our topic of, you know, female characters with agency, I was actually surprised to learn right when we started talking about it that it was written by a guy. I just assumed that it was written by a woman and didn't, you know, breeze past the cover and then kept going. But Betty, I think, is a strong element in that. She's so strong-willed but little and cute that the juxtaposition of those things, the like strong-willed drinker, magic mushroom taker, really takes the fore. You know, I just like that juxtaposition as a smidgen, sort of an elf-like character, but since they had elves in another.
This is the first and only thing I've read by Curtis Wiebe. It looks like the only other thing that he's, I guess, that I have even heard of that he's popular for is Peter Panzerfaust.
Oh, that was him. Sure,
Yeah.
I heard really. I used to, you know, when I was listening to iFanboy on the regular, they were real big fans of that book like a decade ago.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about it since, and I never quite got into reading it, but I do remember them really liking it.
The cell phone rock thing is cool too.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that. There's some they do an interesting thing. They do an interesting thing here where they have these old-timey Dungeons and Dragons sort of things, but then they'll introduce more current technological advances, but by way of magic. I think it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I
like that the teams are friendly with each other, like rivals, but friendly. At first, I kind of thought it was going to be they just don't like each other at all. You know, they hate each other. Yeah. But I like to see that, you know, when they were being attacked, I thought it was a good mix of like one team's wiped out entirely. They help another team, survives to some extent. They're fine. But
they function like professional sports teams. Yeah. Like you are rivals, but you're all on the same profession.
Yeah, you all like the same thing, and if something really bad goes down, you know, you'll help out. Yeah,
it's cool.
Well, the reason that we're introducing these characters at all, sort of the main thrust of the book at first, is that the Rat Queens have spent the night in the drunk tank for the 1,000th time in this town, and so they're given a chance by the mayor, to do these different tasks. So all of the different mercenaries have been assigned these different tasks, and each one goes to their designated location, and it's a trap. And so a lot of them are killed off, and so the remaining mercenaries, mercs, if you will, have to team up and figure out what is the, who's the culprit behind this big conspiracy.
That took me by surprise a little bit. It took me a second to figure out what was happening. I thought they get locked in jail and they are given these tasks because they have been locked in jail, which I think was the case, but also they are adventurers. They will sometimes take on these tasks.
Yes.
For their own free will. Yeah. So it hindered me in understanding what the dynamic of this world was a little bit when they were given the tasks by force, but they might have done it anyway. That kind of thing.
So if they weren't so hungover.
Right.
You guys just reminded me of my favorite bit, and I want to adjust my answer from before of my favorite character. My favorite character is actually Braga. And it's mainly for, not only is she badass, but she's the orc character. The end, she has one of the best lines. Orcs only know one language, blood, and I'm the fucking alphabet.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that line is awesome.
This is so wonderful. Like, she's such a badass, and I hope she sticks around for a long time.
Yeah, that line.
She was a member of one of the other mercenary parties.
Yeah. The Peaches, I believe.
Oh yeah, the Peaches. Yeah,
yeah.
They all had matching outfits.
Yeah, they were nice outfits. I like Violet's reaction to that too. She's like, "Oh, that was an awesome line," because she's not so great at lines.
Yeah.
My favorite is they're being sort of attacked by orcs or trolls. No, I guess they're trolls.
Those are trolls.
And
smaller trolls.
Because in the beginning they kill a troll, and so the troll's wife has brought all of the rest of the trolls to bear on this town, and so they're all trying to defend it. And so they're getting beat, and out of from the back, the big dramatic entrance of the Daves. They've all shown up to help, and they go, "Somebody call the 4 Daves." No. Shut the fuck up, Gary.
Yeah, that's the second Gary joke in as many pages, and it still works.
And then it says
nobody
at the bottom
asked you,
of the
Gary.
page, next issue, shut the fuck up, Gary. +5 on attack rolls against dudes named Gary.
Yeah, that is like
a fun
the only place that they bring in D&D gaming stuff, and it works there because it's out of the story. It's right at the end, and it's to you, the reader. Like that kind of thing.
It's like they're meant to be old editor notes. Like, check out issue 4 if you want to know about. Yeah, like shit like that.
Yeah.
This is a great book. I would definitely suggest this. This is really fun.
Oh, one aspect that we haven't talked about that I really enjoyed is the relationship between the 4, right? Like, they have a solid friendship that I think is so fun to see and read, that they're not like 100% lovey with each other. They get annoyed with each other, but they're like, they really come through. What reminded me was Betty having gotten the troll eyes for Violet. But it's like little moments like that happen. Like, they get annoyed with each other, but they have very positive relations with each other as well.
Yeah, for me, you can really tell that they've been around together a long time, because there is a person who is specifically designated for breakfast duty, and that person is not there in the morning. So one of the other rat queens have to do it. She's like, I cut up some fruit. That's all I'm doing. Like, I miss it. Usually the other, I forget which rat queen it was usually on breakfast duty, and I just thought that was cute. Yeah.
Or Betty's lunch, candy and magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I definitely recommend this.
Last time we did this, like 2 weeks ago, but we weren't on a quest at the time.
This was fun. Yeah. This was really
fun. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We should probably figure out what we're going to talk about next week. Books are happening. I have a whole couple of boxes back there of new books. So the new issues will be coming. So we're going to have to figure out our new format, I guess. Maybe we'll just go back to doing our weekly issues. I personally have been enjoying catching up on trade paperbacks, and we're thinking about maybe it would be a Patreon thing where if you're a patron, patreon.com/Johnny Destructo, for $1 or more, whoever it is, maybe we could start doing voting there, and you could tell us what we're going to review that month. Maybe we'll do like a book club every month. So we're still trying to figure it out. So, bear with us. This has been a bucket of fun. Max Mancini says, how about Long Halloween? Noel says no. What's that face for?
What's the other choice?
We recently read that for like another book club. Did we do that for? Yeah, we did that for your book club for your shop like 2 years ago, and then it was brought up again. Man, that book is. I think I've read it like 40 times.
Oh, and you don't have to read it again.
Diminishing returns every time too. It's just like you see the seams more and more every time. How about a book that's newish? Anyone? Like this was a gem that I'd never heard about or tried. Not something super humanly not something super popular.
Okay.
Yeah, something crappy. It's not.
No, no. Look, you know what I'm trying to say. Like
I know exactly.
Not dark.
Under a rock somewhere.
Not like something that is your hidden gem that you want more people to read. Not Hush.
Melly G recommends Moonstruck.
Never heard of it.
That one is not crappy, she says.
Oh, it's not crappy. Ooh, even better.
Long Halloween is not crappy. It's just let's talk about stuff that's not in the zeitgeist. Let's talk about stuff that like is something we've never read before, maybe, or other people that listen have never read before, to try and like perpetuate new reads, not just
Max Mancini.
Born Again.
You have a couple of seconds. Otherwise, it's going to be Moonstruck. He says
Saga Volume 9 only.
Volume 9 only.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, I have not.
You son of a bitch.
Wait,
and I bought all the issues because it looked a lot like Lucifer, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is I'm so interested in this, but whatever was going on in my life at the time, I don't remember. I never got to it, and to this day, I still haven't read it.
I have the first two giant volumes. I would like, so I actually recently just read the first chunk of Saga. I would talk about it if you guys actually want to talk about Saga, because it is wildly popular, but it's widely popular like here. It's not like there's a movie about it.
Sure. Right. I mean, do we have to decide at the close of the show, or can we take
No.
How about Kill or Be Killed finally? Does anybody want to talk about that?
Oh my God. I would love to do Kill or Be Killed.
Motor Crush I've never read.
Motor Crush I did for Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex Book Club about a year ago. Volume 1 I did. Saga. Yes.
Hey, aren't there new no, that's not fun. I was gonna say there's like those new criminal one and dones like Pulp and Cruel Summer that are coming this year.
Pulp is coming out, yeah. Pulp isn't Pulp like a Western?
It's yes and no. It's a Western noir, so it's an older gentleman writing Western stories in the 30s, and then you find out those stories are actually about him. So it's a 1930s-ish noir, but flashbacks to Westerns. Yeah.
I'd be into doing that because it's not even out yet, but we have a PDF copy of it from Image Comics. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We're probably not going to do a book club every week because we'll be so busy catching up on the single issues as they come out. So I'm thinking maybe we'll just do a book club segment every month, and we'll let you know ahead of time so you guys could read it along with us, and then we could discuss it live on the stream. She says, Lady Mechanica, Wicked and Divine. I'm just throwing out all I know, LOL. Those are actually, I've always been curious about Lady Mechanica.
I don't know anything about it.
Wicked and Divine.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like that. That is a cool, interesting idea, but listening audience, it doesn't have to be those requirements. It can, like, Long Halloween is something that we didn't particularly want to read that particular one, but if it can be.
Not throw it on me. That's fine. I just think that we have a microphone and 3 or 4 people that listen. So let's talk about stuff that's not constantly covered or constantly talked about, or like.
I'll tell you what. To chime into that, the Dark Long Halloween, I would like to revisit Dark Victory, the sequel.
Yeah, who talks about that anymore?
Yeah.
Well, so that's what I mean. Like, so that's a mainstream. That's like a big 2 book.
Or even if it's something that's about to get big again, like all of us have really weird mixed feelings about Dark Knight's Metal, and the sequel is about to come out. So it's like, should we force ourselves to read it and kind of figure out if we still hate it? I don't know.
Yeah.
The old one?
Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
Recently enough. Ooh, I would love to. You know, that's
I've
another.
never read it.
Never read.
Let's do that. Let's do volume 1 of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, please.
Deal.
I'm down. I just read it, so that's less homework for me.
It is done.
I like how people were just throwing out stuff until finally we were like, nope. Yes, that's the one.
That is how your decisions will be chosen. If you just say things and if you say something we like, then you win.
Come to the stream with suggestions, and we'll just throw them out.
So, Melly G, I hope we did the Rat Queens justice since you asked us to review it. We all enjoy it. We all recommend it highly. You should definitely check it out. And join us at our next week. We're just going to be talking about the issues again. But I think maybe a month from now, we'll let you know when the date gets closer. We're going to be talking about Swamp Thing Volume 1 Saga of the Swamp Thing Volume 1 by Alan Moore. So thank you so much for joining us. If you want to help us out, go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. You can actually go to JD'sHeroComplex.shop where I am selling trade paperbacks from my store's stock. And I just finally put it up. You can go to that site, and I did a little Baby Yoda t-shirt and some stickers that you could buy from there as well. I will print it for you on demand, and I will mail it to you, and you could wear it, because that's what you do with shirts usually. Noel, where can the people find you?
Well, currently I'm sheltered in place, so you can find me in my apartment. However, other than that, I'm here with you guys every week, which is my joy and delight. Yeah. We're on the social media pages at Mr. Bartocci on Twitter, MrBartocci.
And Brian.
I can be found at brianliebdesign.com. My name was written on the bottom of the screen, but now it's not. So I hope that you saw it when it was. And then add the word design.com after it. Ooh, Optimus Prime. Excellent. That's how I do it.
Yeah. I'm closer there.
Thank you for the review. I would order from JD, but delivery to the Netherlands is crazy.
No worries. No worries. We'll bring it ourselves.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we're just going to travel to the Netherlands. Yeah,
you'll have to pay for the plane ticket, but it's fine.
I mean, shipping
probably
is
cheaper.
So for shipping, it's you're shipping me, and I'm going to bring the books.
Yeah.
I'll bring them to you because I've never been in the Netherlands.
It's a fun little bonus.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk at you later.
Bye.
Bye.